Welcome to Lantern and Lullaby. Settle into a comfortable position and allow the soft rain, distant thunder, and quiet mountain wind to soften everything beyond this moment. Tonight, you will follow a rain-dark road high into the mountains, where a hidden station waits among the mist. An old wooden carriage climbs silently above the storm, and a secret island rests beyond the clouds beneath a sky filled with stars. There is nowhere else you need to be, nothing waiting for you beyond the sound of flowing water, the gentle turning of distant windmills, and the warm lights glowing among gardens, villages, observatories, and quiet sanctuary halls. So let your breathing become easy. Let the day loosen its hold. And when you are ready, follow the narrow mountain path towards the hidden station and begin your journey to the island above the clouds, where every step carries you farther from the storm and deeper into rest. The road curves gently between steep slopes hidden beneath the night. Rain moves in silver sheets through the beam of a single distant lamp. On one side, water runs down the rock in thin, shining threads. On the other, the land falls away into a valley filled with cloud and darkness. Each step carries you farther from the world you have left behind. The air smells of wet stone, pine bark, and cold mountain earth. Far below, thunder rolls through the valley with a deep and softened voice. Ahead, the road disappears around another bend beneath leaning trees. For now, there is nothing to do but follow it and let the rain guide you onward. Its low roof projects over the roadside like a quiet invitation. You step beneath it and hear the rain soften against old slate above. The shelter is open at the front, with a deep stone bench running along the back wall. Water beads on the rough masonry and gathers in the joints between the floor stones. A small arched opening looks across the valley, though little can be seen beyond moving mist. The wind reaches you only as a cool breath curling around the entrance. The road outside glistens beneath the storm, empty in both directions. Somewhere higher on the mountain, a pale light flickers behind the rain. It is faint, but steady enough to suggest that the road is not as deserted as it first appeared. At first, it seems no more than a lamp beside another bend. Then the cloud thins, revealing that the glow is much higher than the road itself. A narrow path climbs toward it through dark grasses and low mountain shrubs. Its wet stones catch the light in small scattered reflections. The path looks old, yet carefully laid, as though it once carried many travelers upward. No sound comes from above, except the rain and the distant rush of water. You leave the bench and stand again beneath the edge of the roof. The storm has not eased, but the light makes the mountain feel less empty. With the shelter behind you, you turn toward the climbing path. The path rises in slow turns across the mountainside. Low walls of stacked stone hold back beds of fern, heather, and rain-dark moss. Water slips between the steps and runs beside you in a shallow channel. The road soon vanishes below, hidden by the curve of the slope. With every turn, the wind grows quieter and the sound of rushing water grows stronger. The distant glow now shines from behind a high wall farther up the path. Old iron railings emerge beside the outer edge where the land drops into cloud. The climb feels sheltered, almost secret, as though the mountain is drawing you inward. At the final bend, the path ends before a tall gate set directly into the rock. Two stone pillars rise from the rock on either side of it. Beyond the bars lies a small paved yard lit by low wall lamps. The gate stands slightly open, moving only a fraction in the wind. You press it gently and hear a soft metal sigh beneath the rain. Inside, the storm seems suddenly farther away. High walls surround the yard, while the mountainside rises steeply behind them. A dark timber roof can be seen beyond an arch at the opposite end. The faint light that guided you here now glows warmly from beneath that roof. You pass through the gate and step into the hidden station yard. The cobbles shine beneath the rain like dark glass. A narrow drainage channel carries water toward a grated opening in the wall. To your left, a row of small arched recesses shelters empty wooden benches. To your right, climbing ivy hangs from the stone and trembles softly in the wind. Straight ahead stands a modest station building of pale stone, dark timber, and old slate. Its windows glow with the gentle color of firelight, though no movement passes behind them. A covered entrance projects over two shallow steps. Water falls from the eaves in clear, steady lines. Above the roof, cables disappear upward into cloud and darkness. The yard feels forgotten, yet perfectly maintained, as though it has been waiting only for your arrival. The rain becomes a muted drumming above the timber roof. Beside the empty hooks stands a wooden rack holding several plain walking sticks without markings. The heavy entrance door is already ajar. Warm air moves through the gap, carrying the sense of old wood, coal dust, and dried herbs. A small glass lamp burns beneath the canopy, steady despite the wind beyond. From here, you can look back across the yard to the open gate and the path descending into mist. The outside world already seems strangely distant. Inside the doorway, a stone floor leads into a quiet hall. You wipe the rain from your coat in the warmth and step across the threshold. Dark timber beams cross the low ceiling above a floor of worn grey stone. A small coal stove glows behind a simple iron guard at the far side of the room. Several cushioned benches stand beneath rain-blurred windows. There are no notices, timetables, or names upon the walls. Instead, shelves hold folded blankets, ceramic cups, and jars of dried mountain herbs. A quiet clockwork hum seems to come from somewhere beyond the rear wall. The room is empty, but not abandoned. The stove has been tended, the lamps are lit, and a fresh cloth lies folded beside the cups. Across the hall, a pair of glass doors reveals a covered platform beyond. Behind the glass, a wooden carriage waits beside the cliff in a veil of rain. The platform clings to the cliff beneath a high timber roof. Beyond the railing, the mountain falls into a ravine filled with mist and rushing water. A single track of thick cable and iron guides stretches away into the cloud above. The waiting carriage rests beneath the roof, its polished wooden sides darkened by damp air. Soft lamps glow behind its many small windows. There is no attendant and no visible control panel beside the platform. Only an open door waits at the center of the carriage. From beneath its wheels comes a low mechanical vibration, calm and regular. You approach through the scent of rain, timber, and cold mountain stone. The interior is narrow, warm, and beautifully kept. Curved wooden benches run beneath windows on both sides. A woven rug lies across the center of the floor, dry despite the storm outside. Rain taps softly against the glass and trails downward in wavering lines. Through the open door, the empty platform looks increasingly remote. A folded blanket rests at one end of the nearest bench. Above you, the cable hum deepens into a steady note. The carriage door closes by itself with a quiet wooden click. A moment later, the platform begins to move slowly away. The station roof slips downward beyond the rear window. Its warm lamps shrink between the wet beams until mist folds around them. The carriage rises smoothly, supported by the low pull of hidden machinery. Below, the yard appears briefly within its ring of stone walls. The gate, the climbing path, and the road beyond become small fragments of light and rain. Ahead, the cable angles upward toward a darkness without visible end. The cabin sways only slightly when the wind passes across the cliff. Inside, the benches remain warm and the lamps remain perfectly steady. The mountain seems to release its hold on you, one careful meter at a time. Soon, there is nothing outside but wet rock, cloud, and the quiet upward song of the cable. The cliff falls away beneath you with startling gentleness. Far below, white water rushes between black rocks and fallen pines. Narrow waterfalls spill from ledges on both sides of the ravine. The cable stretches toward a distant support tower half hidden in mist. Each iron wheel passes over the line with a soft and measured rhythm. The ravine widens as you ascend, revealing terraces of forest beyond. Lightning flickers somewhere behind the cloud, pale and silent at this distance. For a few moments, the entire valley becomes visible in silver outline. Then darkness returns, and the carriage continues steadily upward above the water. The valley vanishes almost at once. Rain, forest, and rock dissolve into a pale grey glow beyond the glass. The cable above remains visible for only a few meters before disappearing. Inside the cabin, every small sound becomes clearer. You hear the soft vibration beneath the floor and the occasional creak of polished timber. The lamps cast gentle circles across the empty benches. Without the landscape outside, the carriage feels like a quiet room traveling through sleep. Now and then, a shadow of rock passes close beyond the mist. Each one fades before you can measure its size, leaving only cloud again. A low glow spreads through the mist below the windows. It brightens slowly, like moonlight moving beneath deep water. Then a silent flash reveals the top of the storm cloud far below. The carriage has climbed above the highest rain, though droplets still cling to the glass. Dark cloud banks roll beneath you in broad and endless waves. Lightning travels inside them, hidden except for brief veins of silver. Above, the sky begins to deepen toward a clear midnight blue. For the first time, stars appear faintly through breaks in the vapor. You watch the storm recede beneath you, while the cable continues into the quiet height. At first, the gap reveals only darkness and scattered stars. Then a pale vertical shape appears beyond the cable. It resolves into a cliff, rising impossibly high above the cloud layer. Water streams from its ledges in long white ribbons that vanish into the storm below. Higher still, several warm lights shine from deep recesses and sheltered balconies. The cliff is not part of the mountain you left behind. It hangs beyond the cloud, vast and separate, with open sky visible around its lower edge. The carriage turns gently toward it along the cable. You sit in silence as the first fragment of the hidden island emerges from the mist. The rock face fills the windows from floor to ceiling. Layers of pale stone rise between bands of moss, fern, and trailing ivy. Water emerges from cracks and gathers into clear falls that drift outward in the wind. Small stone arches have been built into several natural ledges. Behind them, covered paths follow the curve of the cliff beneath low roofs. No figures move there, yet the lamps within are softly lit. The carriage glides past one waterfall, close enough for spray to miss the glass. Beyond it, the cliff opens into a vast hollow, filled with trees and terraces. Far above, the dark outline of a forest crowns the island's rim. The cable continues toward a tower built securely into the stone ahead. The tower rises from a broad shelf of rock above the waterfalls. Its lower walls are built from heavy blocks darkened by centuries of mist. Higher up, timber galleries surround a steep slate roof. Warm lamps glow beneath the eaves and along the enclosed platform. The cable enters through a wide arched opening at the center of the structure. As you draw closer, hidden wheels begin to turn above the carriage. The sound deepens, then slows into a patient mechanical rhythm. A narrow bridge extends from the rear of the tower into the cliff itself. Beyond it, you glimpse trees, stone walls, and the first open terraces of the island. The carriage passes beneath the arch and settles gently within the tower. You step onto a platform warmed by lamps set low along the stone walls. Behind you, the carriage waits in perfect stillness above the storm. Ahead, the bridge begins beneath a timber roof and crosses a narrow gap in the cliff. Its windows are open arches protected by deep stone sills. Through them, cloud moves slowly beneath the tower. The thunder below is now no louder than a distant murmur. At the far end, the bridge enters a passage cut through pale rock. Fresh air carries the scent of pine needles, wet leaves, and cold, clear water. A small stream runs beside the walkway in a carved channel. You follow it through the bridge toward the quiet land beyond. The night sky expands around you with sudden and astonishing clarity. A low wall curves along the edge of the terrace. Beyond it, the storm stretches below like a dark silver ocean. Lightning glows within the cloud banks, too distant now to disturb the quiet. Behind the terrace, tall pines rise from gardens layered against the cliff. Water passes beneath their roots and spills over the outer edge in shining streams. A stone path winds upward between mossy walls and low lamps. Farther away, scattered roofs and bridges appear through the trees. The island extends beyond them into darkness, far larger than the cliff had suggested. You walk to the wall and look across the hidden country for the first time. Forests spread across rising hills beneath the stars. Pale stone villages rest among the trees, their windows glowing softly in sheltered folds of land. Waterfalls descend from high lakes and vanish through the clouds around the island's edge. Glass roofs shine among gardens, orchards, and long silver channels. Far above them all, white cliffs climb toward observatories and quiet summit buildings. Bridges cross open gaps where the storm can be seen moving far below. Windmills turn slowly on distant meadows beneath the clear sky. Every path seems connected by water, stone, and warm points of light. The island is not a single refuge, but an entire hidden world suspended above the weather. With the storm beneath you and the night calm overhead, you begin walking toward its lower terraces. The path descends gently between low walls silvered by mist. Wet grasses lean over the stones and brush softly together in the wind. To your left, the cloud ocean stretches beyond the wall in slow, dark folds. To your right, the first pines rise from shallow beds of moss and fern. Clear water runs beside the path in a narrow channel cut neatly into the stone. Small lamps sit low beneath overhanging leaves, their light softened by droplets. Behind you, the landing tower is already partly hidden by the bend. Ahead, the path follows the edge of the island toward a darker grove. The storm remains far below, while the air around you feels cool, still, and strangely sheltered. The trees grow close together, their dark trunks rising from deep beds of moss. Their branches bend gently toward the open sky, shaped by years of high island wind. Needles whisper overhead while drops of water fall from one branch to another. Between the trunks, the cloud sea appears in pale moving fragments. A narrow stone path winds through roots polished, smooth by rain. Here and there, small basins gather water beneath the trees. The lamps are fewer now, and the grove is lit mostly by stars and reflected cloud light. Far ahead, you hear the soft rush of a stream crossing the path. You continue beneath the pines, surrounded by their cool, resinous scent. and steady hush. The water crosses the stones in a clear ribbon no wider than a small room. It moves quickly over pale pebbles, catching every trace of light from the sky. Moss grows thick along its banks, beneath ferns and low blue-green shrubs. A series of flat stepping stones has been set just beneath the surface. Beyond them, the path continues toward an older stone bridge farther downstream. The stream carries the scent of wet leaves and cold mineral rock. Tiny ripples shine whenever the wind reaches through the trees. Somewhere above, another channel joins it with a soft falling sound. You pause at the edge, then follow the water towards the bridge, waiting through the mist. Its single arch rests between two low banks of fern-covered stone. The parapets are worn smooth and almost hidden beneath trailing moss. Water passes below in a narrow rush before falling toward the lower cliffs. From the center of the bridge, you can see the pine grove behind you. Ahead, the trees begin to thin around a sheltered stone court. A slow wooden turning sound reaches you through the mist. The bridge stones hold the faint warmth of lamps set into the walls beyond. Clear droplets gather on the moss and fall into the stream below. You cross at an unhurried pace, following the water toward the quiet machinery ahead. The court is enclosed on three sides by pale stone walls and low timber roofs. Water enters through a raised channel and spills steadily over the wheel's dark paddles. The wheel turns without haste, sending a soft wooden rhythm through the damp air. Small channels branch from its base and disappear beneath the surrounding buildings. Ferns grow from the joints of the paving, bright against the rain-dark stone. An open arch on the far side reveals the first cottages beyond. Their steep roofs rise among fruit trees and low garden walls. Warm lamps glow beneath the court's covered edges, though every doorway remains empty. You follow the channel across the court toward the village waiting beyond the arch. The cottages stand in small groups along the slope, built from pale stone and dark weathered timber. Their slate roofs shine beneath beads of mist carried up from the clouds. Windows glow softly behind plain glass, but no shadows move within. Low walls enclose tiny gardens of herbs, ferns, and wind-bent flowers. Water from the court runs beside the lane in narrow covered channels. A few fruit trees lean over the walls, their leaves still wet from the storm below. Every doorway is clean, every path swept, and every lamp carefully tended. The village feels asleep rather than empty. You continue between the first cottages toward a lane winding deeper among the lights. The lane curves so gently that its end is always hidden. Pale stone walls rise close on both sides beneath ivy and dark climbing roses. Shuttered windows sit above deep sills filled with bowls of rainwater. Warm wall lamps shine across the wet paving in long, quiet reflections. Small side passages climb toward cottages set higher on the slope. Through occasional gaps, you glimpse the cloud ocean far below the roofs. A narrow stream runs beneath iron grates at the center of the lane. The only sounds are moving water, whispering leaves, and the distant turning of the wheel. Ahead, the lane passes beneath a roofed opening joining two rows of cottages. Heavy beams cross above you, darkened by age and mountain damp. The passage is narrow and protected from the wind, with benches built into both walls. A line of small lamps glows beneath the rafters. Water trickles through a shallow channel beside the paving before disappearing under a doorless arch. Openings on the left frame the village roofs and the clouds beyond. On the right, stone steps rise toward a quiet upper courtyard, hidden by leaves. The roof carries the soft sound of droplets falling from the trees above. At the far end, the passage brightens toward an orchard terrace. You walk beneath the last beam and emerge among low fruit trees, moving gently in the night air. Low fruit trees grow in neat rows between beds of damp grass. Their branches are trained along pale stone supports to withstand the island wind. Drops of water shine on leaves and small late fruits. The terrace ends at a low wall overlooking the moving cloud sea. Beyond the wall, distant lightning glows silently beneath the horizon. A stone path divides the orchard and leads towards the building with wide, warm windows. Its roof is lower than the cottages and partly covered by trailing vines. Small tables can be seen within, arranged beneath soft lamps. The scent of apples, wet bark, and warm herbs drifts across the terrace as you approach. The door opens into a long room of pale stone, dark beams, and wide windows. Small wooden tables stand beside cushioned chairs arranged toward the view. A low fire burns in a simple hearth near the center of the room. Shelves hold plain ceramic cups, teapots, and jars of dried leaves without labels. A pot rests warm beside the hearth, sending a faint curl of steam into the air. Beyond the glass, orchard branches move against the silver cloud ocean. No one waits behind the small serving counter, yet everything has been left ready. You pour a warm cup and sit for a moment beside the nearest window. The room gathers the quiet of the village around you before you continue onward. Stone walls hold back the night wind and gather the warmth of the building. Raised beds of herbs line the edges beneath simple glass covers. A round basin stands at the center, filled by a thin stream descending from the wall. Wooden benches rest beneath a vine-covered canopy. The paving is damp but sheltered from the heavier mist beyond the roofs. Small lamps burn among pots of rosemary, mint, and silver-leaved plants. A narrow gate opens from the court toward the village green. Through it, you can see a darker open space, ringed by cottages and trees. You follow the sound of water across the garden and pass quietly through the gate. A broad circle of soft grass lies between the surrounding cottages. Old pines stand at its edges, their roots held by low, curved walls. A narrow stream enters beneath one wall and crosses the green in a shallow stone bed. Small footbridges link the paths that circle the water. Warm windows look inward from every side, softened by mist and leaves. At the far edge, a stone stair rises between ferns toward the higher terraces. The green opens briefly towards the clouds, revealing distant lightning below the island. Nothing moves except the stream, the trees, and the slow vapor beyond. You cross one of the little bridges and walk toward the stair climbing from the village. The steps rise in short flights, separated by narrow landings. Ferns lean from every joint, their fronds shining beneath small wall lamps. Water runs down one side in a shallow channel, carved smooth by years of flow. The village green drops gradually behind you, its lamps becoming smaller through the leaves. Above, the stair turns beneath overhanging branches and a pale stone arch. The sound of wind returns as the walls grow lower. At the next landing, a covered gallery becomes visible along the upper terrace. Its open arches frame silver waterfalls descending from the gardens beyond. You climb the final flight towards the shelter of its roof. The roof is supported by pale stone columns and dark timber braces. Open arches run along the outer side, each framing a different part of the island. Through one, the village rests among trees below. Through another, silver waterfalls descend between upper garden roofs. Rainwater gathered from the roof travels through a channel beneath the inner wall. Simple benches stand between the arches, dry beneath the shelter. Low lamps reveal moss and tiny ferns growing around the column bases. The gallery bends gently toward a glass-sided walkway farther ahead. You follow its sheltered curve while the distant storm glows beneath the open views. White-painted iron ribs curve overhead beneath long panes beaded with mist. The floor remains stone, with a narrow water channel running along its center. On both sides, glass walls reveal trees, roofs, and cloudlit gardens. Climbing vines weave around the ironwork without closing the view. Small vents stand open beneath the roof, allowing cool air to move through. The sound of rain becomes a soft tapping across the panes. Ahead, the walkway broadens into a larger glass structure, filled with shadowed branches. Warm lights glow low among rows of planted trees. You continue through the damp brightness toward the sheltered orchard house. Rows of small fruit trees grow from deep stone beds beneath the iron framework. Their leaves shine with condensation rather than rain. Clear pipes carry water overhead before releasing it in slow drops around the roots. Narrow paths weave between the beds beneath hanging lamps. Some branches carry pale blossoms, while others hold small green fruit. The glass roof reveals stars above and dark cloud light along the horizon. At the far end, broad doors stand open toward a descending flight of terrace steps. Beyond them, planted walls and silver water channels continue into the night. You walk through the warm green air and leave the orchard beneath the open doors. The steps are broad and shallow, built from pale stone darkened by mist. Large planters overflow on either side with ferns, grasses, and trailing leaves. Thin channels carry water down each outer edge in clear parallel streams. Behind you, the glass orchard glows softly among the upper trees. Ahead, the steps open toward a lower garden, arranged around a circular basin. Beyond it, the clouds form a silver horizon beneath the island. Small lamps sit within the planting, rather than along the center of the path. Their light catches on wet leaves and moving water. You descend slowly until the final step meets the garden floor. The basin is broad and shallow, filled with clear water, reflecting the cloud-bright sky. Several carved channels enter from the surrounding terraces. Their streams meet without splashing, sending slow circles across the surface. Low beds of moss, iris leaves, and pale flowers surround the stone rim. A path divides around the basin before joining again near the cliff edge. The glass orchard rises behind you through layers of planted steps. Ahead, an open pavilion stands where the garden meets the clouds. Its pale columns and dark roof are outlined against distant lightning. You follow the curve of the basin toward the quiet shelter at the edge. Four pale stone columns support a dark timber roof open to the night air. A simple bench curves along the inner wall, facing the clouds. Below, the storm moves in slow illuminated valleys between towering cloud banks. The island's waterfalls descend nearby in pale threads before vanishing from sight. Behind you, the garden basin gathers the lights of the terraces in its still surface. To one side, a narrow path continues along the cliff toward a higher viewpoint. Through the trees, roofs, glasshouses, and village lamps begin to align across the slope. The pavilion holds the wind to a quiet breath beneath its roof. You remain there for a moment before following the cliff path onward. The path rises only a little before opening onto a broad shelf of stone. From here, the entire lower village rests across the terraces below. Cottages gather around the green, their warm windows held among dark pines. The orchard house shines beneath its old glass roof. Water channels link the gardens, wheel court, basin, and cliffside falls in silver lines. Covered passages and small bridges connect each level without breaking the quiet. Beyond the settlement, the storm turns slowly beneath the island, like a distant sea. Far above, darker gardens and pale upper cliffs wait beneath the stars. You can now see the route leading onward through a stone arch at the edge of the terraces. With the village glowing safely behind you, you turn toward the hanging gardens above. The arch opens onto a path bordered by pale walls and climbing greenery. Beyond them, the land falls away into cloud, while the gardens rise in layered terraces ahead. Long vines trail from stone ledges and move gently in the night wind. Water slips through narrow channels cut beside the path, carrying silver reflections from the sky. Low lamps glow beneath leaves rather than standing openly along the walkway. The air smells of wet earth, crushed herbs and cool stone. Behind you, the village lights settle into the lower slope. Ahead, a second arch covered in moss frames a ribbon of moving water. You follow the channel inward as the hanging gardens close softly around you. The channel runs straight through the garden before curving out of sight. Its clear water moves quickly over a floor of pale stone. Moss forms a soft green border along both edges. On the opposite side, low flowers lean toward the water and tremble in the breeze. Small bridges cross the channel at intervals, each no wider than a few steps. The path beside it remains sheltered beneath fruiting vines and wind-shaped shrubs. Every few moments, the water passes over a shallow lip and changes into a quieter rhythm. Far ahead, several terraces step upward beneath silver mist. You continue beside the channel, following its sound toward the falling gardens beyond. Water drops from one planted terrace to the next in clear, shining sheets. Each fall is low and gentle, no higher than the surrounding walls. Stone steps climb beside them beneath overhanging ferns. Pale flowers grow from pockets in the masonry and bend toward the spray. The water gathers briefly in shallow pools before continuing downward. Mist cools the air and settles in tiny beads across the path. From the higher landings, the lower village appears between leaves and silver streams. The falls continue upward in a patient rhythm, guiding you toward an open meadow. You climb beside them until the trees begin to thin and the wind reaches you again. The meadow opens beneath the stars with no roof or wall above it. Soft grasses ripple in long waves across the slope. Clusters of pale blue, cream, and muted violet flowers move among them. A broad stone path curves gently through the color without dividing it harshly. Low glass lamps sit almost hidden at ground level. To one side, the garden falls descend towards the village in silver lines. To the other, a glass building glows faintly behind rows of dark shrubs. The wind carries the scent of flowers and distant rain. You follow the path across the meadow toward the warm light beneath the glass roof. Its long roof slopes inward toward a central line of channels. Glass panes shine with mist and scattered droplets. Inside, pale iron supports rise around streams guided through the floor. Rainwater enters from high pipes and descends in thin controlled ribbons. The sound is softer than a storm, more like many small fountains speaking at once. Stone walkways cross between the channels beneath hanging ferns. Clear tanks set low against the walls hold water without labels or markings. Through the glass, the meadow remains visible beneath the stars. You follow the central walkway toward an open doorway filled with deep green leaves. High stone walls shelter the court from the stronger wind. Ferns rise in deep beds on every side. their fronds layered from floor to shoulder height. A narrow path of dark, wet stone winds between them. Fine mist drifts from hidden channels and gathers on the leaves. Simple benches sit beneath shallow arches cut into the walls. Small lamps glow low behind the plants, lighting the fronds from beneath. At the center, a square opening in the paving carries water into the rooms beyond. The court feels warmer than the meadow and quieter than the rain house. You follow the path toward a low arch where still water reflects the lamplight. The room is open to the sky through a long rectangular space above. 4 shallow basins lie between broad stone walkways. Round lily leaves rest on the dark water beneath pale flowers. Thin streams enter from the walls and disappear without splashing. The surrounding stone is softened by moss and silver-leaved plants. Low benches stand beneath covered edges where the paving remains dry. Stars appear in the pools whenever the drifting mist clears. At the far side, a stair rises toward rows of orchard trees visible above the wall. You cross between the still basins and climb toward the higher terraces. Low fruit trees grow along the slope in long curving rows. Their branches are supported by pale stone frames and dark wooden ties. Some hold small green fruit, while others carry blossoms bright beneath the stars. Clear channels pass between the terraces and feed each root bed in turn. The path rises slowly through the orchard without becoming steep. Behind you, the glass roofs of the rain house shine among the gardens. Ahead, the trees open around a broad meadow where several windmills turn. The cloud ocean can be seen beyond the outer rows like pale, moving land. You continue upward beneath the wet leaves towards the sound of wooden sails. The meadow spreads across a gentle rise open to the night wind. Several weathered stone windmills stand at measured distances among the grass. Their timber sails rotate slowly against the star-filled sky. Narrow water channels run between them, shining like dark silver threads. Low flowers gather around the mill walls where the wind is weakest. The nearest mill has an open wooden door beneath a small sheltered lamp. Far below the meadow, the garden terraces descend in glowing layers. Beyond them, lightning moves silently inside the cloud sea. You cross the grass toward the open mill, while its sails turn overhead. The interior is circular and built around a tall central shaft of dark timber. Large wooden gears move slowly beneath the upper floor. Their teeth meet with a soft rhythm that blends with the wind outside. A narrow stair curves along the stone wall toward a viewing level. Simple shelves hold coils of rope, folded cloth, and plain wooden tools. Water from the meadow channels passes beneath the floor through a covered runnel. Warm lamps reveal the grain of the beams without filling the room with brightness. Through an open upper window, the gardens and cloud sea appear far below. You climb the stair and leave through a rear door opening onto the herb terraces. The beds descend in long, narrow bands beneath low stone walls. Rosemary, thyme, mint, and silver leaves fill the cool night air with scent. Small channels divide the terraces and carry water from the meadow above. The planting is dense but carefully ordered, with no bare earth left exposed. Stone steps connect each level beneath arches woven with vines. The windmill sails move slowly behind you over the top wall. Ahead, the terraces widen toward a formal court filled with the sound of fountains. Warm lamps stand low among the herbs and disappear beneath their leaves. You follow the descending path toward the pale stone court below. The court is paved in pale stone, arranged around several low fountains. Each fountain rises from a simple circular basin, without carvings or symbols. Clear water lifts only a little before falling back in soft silver arcs. Narrow channels connect the basins and continue into the surrounding gardens. Clipped shrubs and pale flowers grow in low beds between the paths. Open arches along one wall frame the cloud ocean and distant lightning. On the opposite side, a long glass passage glows behind climbing roses. The fountains fill the court with a steady sound that hides the wind. You cross between the basins toward the rose-filled glass walkway. The walkway is narrower than the orchard house and warmer beneath the glass. White-painted iron frames rise around vines trained carefully along both sides. Dark leaves hold pale roses and deep muted blooms without bright color. Condensation runs down the panes in slow wavering lines. A central path of worn stone passes between low beds of moss and fern. Small lamps hang high enough to leave the flowers mostly in shadow. Through the glass, the fountains and herb terraces remain visible behind you. Ahead, the passage opens toward a still pond, balanced at the island's outer edge. You follow the damp path until sky and water seem to join beyond the final door. The pond lies within a low ring of dark stone at the outer garden edge. Its surface is so calm that the stars appear unbroken across it. Beyond the far rim, the cloud ocean seems to continue the water into the distance. Small islands of iris and the pale grass rise near the sheltered bank. A narrow path circles the pond beneath wind-bent trees. Water enters through one quiet channel and leaves through another toward the cliffs. To the right, a low bathing pavilion glows behind screens of wet leaves. The glass rose walk shines faintly behind you among the terraces. You follow the pond's edge toward the warm building beside the flowing channel. The pavilion is built from pale stone beneath a dark timber roof. Wide open arches face the pond and the clouds beyond. Warm vapor drifts from within and softens the lamps along the entrance. A narrow stream leaves the pond and passes beneath the building through a carved channel. Simple wooden benches stand beneath the outer roof beside folded plain towels. The doorway is open, revealing shallow stone pools beneath arched ceilings. Wet leaves gather around the steps and shine in the low light. The sound of the wind fades beneath the roof, replaced by quiet flowing water. You cross the threshold and enter the warmth of the pavilion. Three shallow pools rest beneath a ceiling of pale arches. Their water glows softly with reflected lamplight and drifting steam. Stone walkways divide them without rails or ornament. Clear channels enter from the wall and leave beneath the opposite floor. Small niches hold folded towels, ceramic cups, and plain bowls. Ferns grow near the open arches where cool night air reaches the room. Through them, the sky pond appears dark and still beyond the steam. At the rear, a narrow passage curves behind a falling veil of water. You follow the warm stone path toward that hidden opening. The grotto opens beneath a natural hollow lit by a break in the rock above. Soft nightlight falls across ferns, moss, and small pale trees. Water drips from the stone in slow, bright threads. A narrow path curves around a clear pool fed by the bathing chamber. The walls have been shaped only enough to form benches and shallow planting beds. No lamps are needed near the opening, though a few glow deeper within. Roots descend from the upper garden and disappear into the damp rock. At the far side, a stone doorway leads toward the sound of faster moving water. You follow the path around the pool and enter the passage beyond. The hall follows the natural curve of the island's inner rock. Pale columns stand between dark walls softened by moss. Several clear streams enter from side passages and cross beneath narrow footbridges. The water gathers in a central channel, flowing toward the gardens below. Low lamps are set into the walls and reflected in every moving surface. Openings high above reveal slivers of roots, glass roofs, and the night sky. The air is cool and carries the deep sound of water traveling through stone. At the far end, broad doors stand open onto an upper terrace. You follow the central channel towards the outdoor light beyond. The terrace looks back across everything you have crossed. Below, the rain house, fern court, orchard terraces, and windmill meadow form quiet layers. The fountain court shines in pale circles among the planting. The sky pond rests at the island's edge, like a dark mirror. Water channels connect each place in silver lines before falling into cloud. Beyond them, the lower village glows beneath dark pines. The storm continues far below, softened by distance and height. A final path rises from the terrace toward a central garden surrounded by flowing water. You leave the overlook and follow it toward the heart of the upper gardens. The path ends at a broad circular garden open to the stars. Clear channels enter from every direction and meet around a low central tree. Its pale trunk rises from a ring of moss, herbs, and white flowers. Water passes beneath small bridges before continuing toward the lower island. The windmill sails turn slowly on the meadow beyond the outer walls. Glass roofs glow among orchards and climbing gardens below. The cloud sea surrounds the island in every open direction. Ahead, A wide white stone stair begins the climb toward the upper cliffs. You pause where wind, water, gardens, and starlight meet, then turn toward the stair. The stair rises in broad flights between low walls of pale stone. Water from the central garden travels beside it in two narrow channels. White flowers and silver grasses grow from pockets along the outer edges. With every landing, the wind becomes cooler, and the garden spread farther below. The pale trunk tree at their center slowly disappears behind the slope. Ahead, the stair climbs towards a line of columns cut into the upper cliff. Low lamps shine from beneath the walls, leaving the steps mostly silver beneath the stars. The climb is long but gentle, broken by quiet places where you can pause and look back. You continue upward until the final flight reaches the shelter of the cliff. The colonnade runs along a natural shelf high above the gardens. Pale columns support a shallow stone roof built directly into the cliff face. Between them, open views reveal windmills, glass roofs, and water channels far below. The inner wall is dark with moisture and softened by thin trails of moss. A clear runnel follows the base of the columns, carrying water toward the island's outer edge. Simple benches stand in shallow recesses beneath restrained lamps. The air here is quiet, protected from the stronger wind beyond the arches. At the far end, the colonnade opens toward a narrow bridge, crossing a deep break in the rock. You follow the sheltered walkway until only open sky lies ahead. The bridge begins between two square stone posts without ornament or markings. Its pale paving is bordered by low walls just high enough to soften the drop. Beneath you, cloud moves slowly through the gap between two sections of the island. The storm glows far below in muted silver flashes. Ahead, the bridge reaches a smaller cliff covered with pines and dark shrubs. A narrow water channel runs beneath the center stones and disappears through the far wall. The wind moves more freely here, carrying the sense of wet rock and resin. You cross at an unhurried pace while the upper gardens recede behind you. At the opposite end, the path enters the shelter of the trees. Tall pines rise close around the path, darker and older than those below. Their trunks lean slightly away from the open edge, shaped by years of high wind. The ground is covered with moss, fallen needles, and low silver shrubs. A paved trail curves between roots beneath sparse wall lamps. Through the branches, you glimpse the bridge behind and the cloud sea beyond it. Water appears again beside the path, moving through a narrow, rock-lined channel. The trees gradually thin around a broad paved yard farther ahead. Beyond them, several round roofs and pale stone buildings stand beneath the stars. You follow the quiet pine walk toward the old observatory complex. The yard is enclosed by low buildings arranged around a circular paved court. Several domed roofs rise above pale walls darkened by mist and age. Plain brass vents and unmarked metal rails catch the faint light. At the center, a shallow basin reflects the stars without breaking their shapes. Covered passages connect the buildings beneath dark slate roofs. No doors are locked, and warm lamps glow inside the nearest entrance. Beyond the outer wall, the cloud ocean surrounds the yard in every direction. The observatory feels carefully maintained, though no movement disturbs its silence. You cross the court and enter through a wide round doorway beneath the largest dome. The hall rises in a perfect circle beneath a high, pale dome. A broad opening at the center of the ceiling reveals a clear section of night sky. Unmarked brass rings and a long, dark telescope rest on a low stone platform. Tall windows curve around the walls, looking toward clouds, stars, and distant island cliffs. The floor is smooth grey stone, crossed by narrow channels of rainwater. Simple benches stand between the windows beneath low lamps. No charts, letters, numbers, or symbols appear anywhere in the room. The only movement comes from stars passing slowly beyond the open dome. A curved doorway leads from the hall toward a gallery circling the outside of the building. The gallery follows the observatory's round outer wall beneath a shallow roof. Open arches face every direction across the island and the surrounding cloud sea. From one opening, the lower gardens appear as tiny circles of water and light. From another, the upper cliffs rise white and sheer beneath the stars. A narrow railing of plain dark iron follows the outer edge. Water gathered from the dome trickles through a channel along the inner wall. Small benches sit between the arches, each turned toward a different view. Farther around the curve, the gallery narrows into a pale stone passage. You follow it away from the dome and deeper into the upper complex. The passage is long, quiet, and gently curved to follow the cliff. Its ceiling is low enough to feel sheltered after the open gallery. Tall slit windows reveal changing fragments of cloud, rock, and distant stars. Plain alcoves hold unmarked brass instruments, folded cloths, and glass lenses. A silver line of water runs beneath one wall towards the halls ahead. The pale floor reflects a cool blue light from the windows. At intervals, dark timber doors stand open onto empty study rooms. The passage gradually brightens around a final bend. Beyond it, rows of shelves wall and tall windows reveal the island's high library. The library occupies a wide hall built along the upper cliff. Dark wooden shelves rise between tall windows filled with cloud and starlight. The books have plain, unmarked spines in muted cloth and leather. Long reading tables stand beneath small, shaded lamps. Open vents high in the walls allow the mountain wind to move softly through the room. Loose curtains breathe beside the windows without disturbing the stillness. A low fire glows within a simple stone hearth at the far end. Beyond the tables, glass doors stand open onto a sheltered reading balcony. You walk between the shelves toward the sound of wind beyond the doors. balcony projects from the library beneath a deep stone canopy. A plain, curved bench follows the inner wall beside small tables of dark wood. Beyond the low parapet, the cloud ocean stretches like a white plain beneath the stars. Distant mountain peaks rise through it in faint silver silhouettes. The storm below is visible only as occasional light moving beneath the clouds. Behind you, the library remains warm and still through the open glass doors. To the right, a covered path continues along the cliff toward pale courtyard walls. The wind reaches the balcony as a slow, cool breath. After resting beside the view, you follow the path toward the quiet upper court. The path enters a square court enclosed by white stone walls and open cloisters. A single shallow pool lies at the center among beds of mountain flowers. Tall, narrow trees rise from the corners and move gently in the wind. The paving is pale and almost dry beneath the sheltering walls. Low lamps burn beneath the covered walks without filling the court with brightness. Open doorways reveal simple rooms of timber, stone, and folded fabrics. No figures cross the courtyard, yet everything feels orderly and cared for. On the far side, a line of arches begins a cloister path overlooking the clouds. You cross beside the pool and enter beneath the first arch. The cloister runs along the outer wall of the upper complex. Pale arches frame the sky, the cloud ocean, and waterfalls falling from distant cliffs. Dark timber beams support the inner edge of the roof. A narrow planted bed follows the wall beneath ferns and small white flowers. Simple stone benches stand between the arches on the dry paving. Water from the court pool moves beside you through a shallow runnel. The sound of the wind is broken into a soft rhythm by the repeating columns. Ahead, the cloister bends towards an open tower, rising above a broad terrace. You follow the arches until the roof gives way to the night sky. The terrace lies beside a tall open tower built for air and distant views. Its pale stone sides are pierced by broad arches without bells or hanging ornaments. Wind passes through the empty upper chamber and returns as a low, hollow murmur. The terrace itself is wide, with a simple curved wall facing the island. Below, waterfalls descend through gardens and vanish into the cloud sea. The observatory domes rise behind the pines farther along the ridge. A covered doorway beneath the tower leads into the highest halls. Warm light spills gently across the wet stone before the entrance. You leave the exposed terrace and step into the quiet building beyond. The hall stretches along the cliff behind a continuous row of tall windows. Each pane frames a different view of clouds, stars, waterfalls, and distant roofs. Pale columns divide the windows beneath a dark timber ceiling. The floor is broad and uncluttered, with simple benches set against the inner wall. A narrow channel carries rainwater beneath the glass in a silver line. Low lamps reflect softly across the wet stone without obscuring the night outside. The hall curves with the island's edge until the far windows face the summit. An open doorway leads into a large timbered room beyond. You follow the windows toward the warmth of the upper refectory. The refectory is spacious but plain, built beneath heavy dark beams. Long stone tables stand in even rows with simple wooden benches. A low hearth glows at one end beside shelves of ceramic bowls and plain cups. Tall windows look across the cloud sea toward the highest cliffs. No meal has been laid, though fresh water waits in unmarked pitchers. The room holds the quiet warmth of a place used for rest and gathering. At the far side, a narrow door stands open beneath a stone arch. Cool mist enters through it and carries the sound of a great waterfall. You cross the empty room and step toward the balcony beyond. The balcony opens beside one of the island's largest waterfalls. Clear water rushes from a high stone channel and drops beyond the cliff in a broad silver sheet. Mist drifts across the pale paving and beads upon the low wall. The cloud sea below receives the falling water without revealing where it ends. Behind you, the refectory windows glow softly beneath the dark roof. To the left, the balcony narrows into a protected path following the outer rim. Moss and small ferns grow wherever spray reaches the stone. The waterfall fills the air with a deep, steady hush. You follow the path beside it toward the island's exposed edge. The path runs close to the outer cliff beneath a low wall of pale stone. On one side, wet rock rises beneath moss, roots, and wind-shaped shrubs. On the other, open sky falls into clouds lit faintly by the storm below. Small streams cross the paving and disappear over the edge in silver threads. Low lamps are set into the inner wall where the spray cannot reach them. Ahead, the path curves toward a tall arch standing alone between two cliffs. Beyond it, the summit grounds rise in white terraces beneath the stars. The wind grows cleaner and colder as the upper buildings fall behind. You continue along the rim toward the solitary gate. The arch is built from smooth pale blocks without carvings, letters, or symbols. It stands between two short walls overlooking cloud on both sides. A narrow channel passes beneath its threshold and continues up the slope. Beyond the gate, the path becomes broader and more formal. White grasses and low mountain flowers grow in deep beds along the terraces. The summit buildings appear farther above, quiet and restrained against the sky. Behind you, the edge walk curves back toward the waterfall and upper halls. A few sheltered lamps mark the route ahead without brightening the stars. You pass beneath the arch and enter the island's highest grounds. The summit path rises across wide open terraces of pale stone. Low walls divide beds of silver grass, moss, and small white flowers. Clear water travels upward beside the path through carefully leveled channels. The upper wind moves freely here, carrying the distant sounds of waterfalls and trees. Below, the observatory, library, and monastery court begin to merge into one quiet landscape. Ahead, broad steps lead toward the large court enclosed by sanctuary buildings. Their pale walls and dark roofs stand against a sky crowded with stars. No gate or doorway blocks the final approach. You follow the ascending path until the high court opens before you. The court rests near the highest ridge of the island. Pale stone buildings surround it on three sides beneath steep, dark roofs. The fourth side remains open to the cloud sea and the distant storm. A long, reflecting channel crosses the paving towards a moonlit stair beyond. Small trees grow from square beds beside simple, sheltered benches. Warm lamps glow beneath the eaves, but most of the court remains silver with starlight. Behind you, the route through gardens, observatories, and upper halls descends into darkness. Ahead, the stair rises toward the island's most secluded sanctuary. You cross the quiet court and pause beneath the first step of the final climb. The stair rises between two low walls of smooth, pale stone. A narrow stream flows down its center in a shallow silver channel. Small lamps are hidden beneath the edges, leaving most of the steps to the stars. The sanctuary court slowly drops behind you, its reflecting water becoming a dark line below. White grasses move softly in the wind along the outer terraces. Far beneath them, the storm continues to glow inside the cloud sea. Ahead, the stair reaches a quiet portico built into the island's highest ridge. No sound comes from above except the movement of water and the distant hush of wind. You climb at an easy pace until the last broad step meets the shelter of the roof. Pale columns support a dark slate roof against the open sky. The floor is dry beneath the shelter, though beads of mist cling to the outer stones. A long bench rests against one wall beside pots of silver-leaved herbs. Through the columns, the entire island descends in dim terraces of water and light. The portico turns the cold summit wind into a soft breath. A pair of tall wooden doors stands open at the center of the inner wall. Warm light lies across the threshold without revealing any movement inside. Above the doorway, the stone remains completely plain and unmarked. You leave the starry view behind and cross into the sanctuary. The room is built from pale stone beneath a ceiling of dark timber beams. Two shallow alcoves hold folded cloaks and plain woven blankets. A low lamp burns on a stone shelf beside a bowl of fresh mountain water. The floor is smooth and nearly dry after the mist outside. No decoration interrupts the simple walls. Ahead, 3 open arches lead into a longer chamber filled with reflected light. Through the nearest opening, you can hear water moving without splashing. The vestibule feels prepared for travelers who may arrive at any hour. You follow the quiet glow through the central arch. A narrow, reflecting pool runs through the center of the chamber from end to end. Broad, pale walkways follow both sides beneath a sequence of low arches. The water is so calm that the lamps appear as complete circles upon it. Thin channels enter from the walls and vanish beneath the floor without disturbing the surface. Simple benches rest in sheltered recesses between trailing ferns. At the far end, tall glass doors stand open toward an inner cloister. Beyond them, moonlight falls across a square of quiet planting. The hall seems to gather every sound and soften it before it can return. You walk beside the still pool toward the open doors. Four covered walks surround a small square garden open to the stars. Pale arches rise beneath dark timber roofs on every side. At the center, a low basin receives a single thread of water from the wall. Beds of moss, white flowers, and silver grass soften the paving around it. Simple stone benches stand beneath the shelter of the cloister. Open doors reveal quiet rooms furnished with plain wood and folded fabrics. The summit wind cannot reach the garden, and every leaf remains almost still. A narrow passage leaves the far corner beneath an arch wrapped in pale vines. You cross beside the basin and follow it deeper into the sanctuary. The garden lies in a natural hollow beneath a wide opening to the night sky. Low, pale trees grow among rounded beds of moss and mountain herbs. A clear stream curves through the planting before entering the sanctuary again. Flat stones cross the water beneath branches silvered by moonlight. No lamps stand near the center, allowing the stars to remain bright above. Along the outer wall, a covered seat looks back toward the cloister arches. The cloud sea can be glimpsed through one narrow break in the rock. At the far side, a glass door glows softly behind a screen of leaves. You cross the stream and enter the warm room beyond. The library is quieter and more intimate than the great wind library below. Low, dark shelves follow the walls beneath a gently sloping timber ceiling. Every book has a plain, unmarked spine of muted cloth or leather. A round table stands near the center beneath a shaded lamp. Two deep chairs face a small hearth built from pale stone. Tall windows look across the moon garden and the distant cloud sea. A folded blanket rests on the arm of the nearest chair. At the rear, an open doorway reveals a warmly lit sitting room. You pass between the shelves and continue toward the firelight. A broad hearth glows beneath a simple stone mantel without carving or ornament. Low sofas and deep chairs form a loose circle across a woven rug. Small tables hold plain ceramic cups and a covered pot of warm herbal drink. The windows are narrower here, protected by the thickness of the summit walls. Through them, stars appear between dark branches in the moon garden. A narrow water channel passes beneath the far wall with a soft, hidden murmur. The room carries the sense of wood smoke, dried herbs, and clean linen. Beyond the fire, a pair of open doors leads into a long supper chamber. You pause beside the warmth before following the lamps onward. A long, pale table stands beneath heavy beams with simple benches along both sides. Only one place has been prepared near the nearest window. A plain bowl, a ceramic cup, and a small covered dish wait beneath a low lamp. The remaining table is empty and polished smooth by years of use. Tall windows face the cloud sea and distant lightning below the island. Shelves along the inner wall hold unmarked jars, bowls, and folded cloths. At the far end, a swinging wooden door stands open toward the upper kitchen. Warm air carrying the scent of bread and herbs moves through the gap. You leave the waiting place untouched for now and continue into the kitchen. The kitchen is built around a deep stone hearth and a broad wooden work table. A loaf of bread cools beneath a folded cloth beside a bowl of herbs. Copper pans hang from plain hooks without markings. Shelves hold ceramic jars, covered dishes, and baskets of late fruit. A narrow channel of clear water runs beneath one wall into a stone sink. The floor is warm and dry beneath the beams. An open back door reveals a sheltered service court washed in moonlight. Beyond another arch, pale steam drifts from the sanctuary's bathing rooms. You follow the sound of water through that quieter opening. A single shallow pool rests beneath a ceiling of pale stone. Warm water enters through a narrow wall channel and leaves beneath the opposite ledge. Steam drifts towards an open arch overlooking the night. A simple bench stands beside folded towels and a plain ceramic cup. Ferns grow where cool air reaches the edge of the room. Beyond the arch, the cloud sea lies far below, beneath the stars. The pool reflects both warm lamps and the cold blue sky. A narrow passage curves away behind a screen of pale stone. You follow it after the warmth has gathered around you. The passage bends gently through the thick summit walls. Its floor is covered by a plain runner that softens every step. Small lamps sit within shallow niches rather than hanging openly. Closed wooden doors line one side, each without handles of different shape or any marking. On the other, narrow windows reveal stars, clouds, and fragments of the island below. A silver water channel runs quietly beneath the sill. The warmth of the bathing room fades into cool, clean air. Ahead, the passage opens onto a court where no wind stirs the trees. You continue toward the pale moonlight beyond. The court is smaller than the cloister garden and enclosed by high pale walls. A single low tree grows from a circular bed of moss. Its leaves remain perfectly still beneath the open square of sky. A narrow stream circles the bed before disappearing beneath the paving. Covered walks surround the court behind simple columns. Deep benches stand beneath them with folded blankets at either end. The moon lies directly above the opening and turns the stone almost silver. Across the court, an open doorway leads towards the sanctuary's highest lookout. You cross the stream by a small bridge and follow the final view. Tall panes curve gently around the cliff beneath dark iron ribs. The glass is clear except for fine beads of mist along its lower edge. A pale stone path follows the windows beside a thin moving channel of water. On the inner side, low planters hold silver grass and small white flowers. The whole island appears beyond the glass in quiet layers beneath you. Windmills, domes, glasshouses, villages, and waterfalls glow faintly through the night. Ahead, the gallery ends at an open stone balcony, projecting over the clouds. You walk through the cool glass passage while the sanctuary lights recede behind. At the final pane, you step out beneath the stars. The balcony projects beyond the summit cliff beneath an unobstructed sky. A low, curved wall follows its edge above the endless cloud sea. From here, every part of the island lies below in a single peaceful view. The lower village glows among dark pines. The hanging gardens shine with narrow threads of water. Windmills turn slowly beside the observatory domes and quiet upper halls. Lightning moves far beneath everything, muted by cloud and distance. Behind you, the sanctuary rests against the ridge with only a few warm windows. You stand at the wall and watch the hidden world breathe beneath the stars. Dark clouds roll beneath you in broad valleys of silver and blue. Lightning travels through them without sound at this great height. For a moment, the whole underside of the island appears in pale outline. Waterfalls descend from every edge and vanish into the storm. Then the glow softens, and the cloud banks begin to close over one another. Above, the stars remain steady, and the summit air stays calm. The island lights seem warmer as the darkness below deepens. Behind you, an open door leads back toward the sleeping wing. When the last distant flash fades, you turn away from the wall and go inside. The corridor is warmer now, after the open summit air. Soft lamps cast small pools of light across the plain runner. The doors along the wall remain closed, except for one near the far end. A folded blanket rests on a bench beneath the narrow windows. Outside, the cloud sea has become darker and more even. The sounds of wind, water, and distant thunder have faded into one low murmur. Beyond the open door, a small room glows beside a sheltered window. The bed within is already turned down beneath pale covers. You follow the final light and enter the resting chamber. The room is simple, warm, and sheltered beneath a dark timber ceiling. A wide bed rests against the inner wall beneath pale linen and a folded blanket. Two low lamps glow on plain stone tables. A small hearth holds the last quiet embers of a fire. Beside the window, a deep chair faces the cloud sea and the stars. A ceramic cup and covered pot wait on a small table nearby. Water moves softly through a hidden channel beneath the floor. The open doorway behind you leads only to the silent sleeping wing. You close it gently and allow the room to become completely still. glass is cool and perfectly clear beneath the sheltering stone. Far below, the island's paths form faint lines through gardens and sleeping villages. The observatory domes shine softly beside the dark pine ridge. The windmills continue their slow turning above the cloud sea. Waterfalls descend in silver threads from the hidden edges of the land. No lightning moves now beneath the clouds. The storm has become a smooth, dark ocean stretching towards the horizon. Behind you, the bed waits in the quiet warmth of the room. You leave the window, lower the nearest lamp, and return to the pale covers. The mattress receives your weight with a slow and gentle softness. Warm linen gathers around you, while the final lamp glows low beside the bed. Beyond the window, the stars remain bright over the quiet summit. The cloud sea lies dark and unbroken beneath the island. Water continues through hidden channels with a sound softer than breathing. Far below, windmills turn, waterfalls fall, and sheltered lamps burn in empty rooms. Nothing asks you to move again tonight. The road in the rain, the climbing carriage, and every garden now feel safely distant. As the last ember fades within the hearth, the island carries you quietly into sleep.